EURUSD made an absolute god candle in towards the upside, and the reason for that is the Jackson Hole Symposium, which took place on Friday, where it was announced that there are going to be lower interest rates in September. Now, again, guys, lower interest rates, what does this mean? It means that we are going from, for example, an interest rate of 4.25% down to, let's say, 3.75%. Now, when this happens within a country, it very simply means that if you are a big institutional investor and you put your money into, for example, the US dollar, first you get 4.25% return on your money, and now you'll only get 3.75, meaning that people take their money out of the US in search of higher returns on their capital. Very simply said, that caused the dollar overall to depreciate, and therefore EURUSD, GBPUSD, AUDUSD, these all pushed up higher. Now, EURUSD is at a very interesting level, and we're going to discuss why in today's video. First of all, what I want to talk about is, again, just quickly zooming out what the overall market structure is doing here from a swing perspective. We have our swing low all the way up in towards our swing high, which is positioned over here, and we can therefore say that the overall market structure is bullish. Here we had our break of structure in towards the upside. Here we had our internal liquidity low, which aligned beautifully with the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. And after grabbing that liquidity, we saw a V-shaped reversal back in towards the upside, after which the overall daily order flow started to form very beautifully, where we had a sell before the buy over here that was in control, pushed the market up higher, and then again a sell before the buy over here, which kept the preventing price from pushing down any lower. Now, overall, the market last week began to consolidate very heavily, and on the lower time frame, for example, the 1 hour, you can then very clearly see that after building up a lot of liquidity on this, let's say, descending trend line here, which we have right over here, where a lot of people are shorting, right? A lot of people going short here and here, with their stop loss here, 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 and even above this overall high. All of these stops in one go have now been liquidated with that overall bigger push in towards the upside. Now, what we can see here on the 4 hour time frame is a very, very beautiful piece of price action. And this is just a range play, guys, where we have an overall consolidation box. And then what happens with this consolidation box is that you liquidate the overall low of the range, and now you liquidate the overall high of the range, after which eventually the real direction will be chosen. Now, what I'm now waiting to see is what that real direction will be, because for now it seems as if we do want to continue pushing up higher. If we look at the daily time frame, obviously we can see that the overall daily time frame is, from a swing perspective, bullish at the moment, and in addition to that, the overall sell for the buy currently is in control, with the overall fractal structure here now being bullish as well. Now, my main area of interest is obviously the sell for the buy candle over here, which is for now my area of demand, and I'll be focusing to see what the dollar index does in order to understand what the next potential position could be. So let's keep an eye. For now, more upside continuation makes sense, as the overall liquidation low here took place, and now we're looking for the overall upside continuation to take place this week. But let's see. This is currently just too high to go long. We need to see some more liquidation events, and we need to see some new market structure form in order to get a cleaner idea of where EURUSD wants to head next. But from a swing perspective and from a fractal perspective, those longs do make sense. However, from the dollar index perspective, there's one thing that we need to take into account. And that is currently the fact that the daily is still bullish, right? So the daily fractal here is with a bullish fractal low, and this is currently the bullish fractal high, which you expect to be broken. We get the push up, retracement down, push up, retracement down, and now what we're looking at here on the daily time frame is that we actually, again, just liquidate this entire trend line in towards the highs. And if you look at, okay, where exactly did the market then push down in towards? It was, again, the equal lows, which we have positioned over here. We swiped the equal low, and this could, again, cause the overall reversal to take place in towards the upside. But at the same time, we just reversed from these two equal highs. We liquidate those, and then the overall push in towards the downside occurred. So to be very honest, the overall price action that we're now seeing is very confusing to a certain extent, in the sense that it's just very consolidative. Also, if you look here at the weekly time frame, it's really kind of like the summer price action, where the overall weekly time frame has just been consolidating as well, kind of like in this box now since around mid-July. So we're not really seeing us trend anywhere. Also, if you look here on the daily time frame, these candlesticks are relatively small, consolidative. So I'm kind of waiting to see what's going to be happening next. Again, it's very early to say what I'm expecting today. I'm mainly going to be sitting this out myself, waiting to see what the dollar wants to do next, because for the same reason, after liquidating this low, we could just move back up and then liquidate this high again. But we could also just continue with full force in towards the downside. Now, I want to see what really the plan is and what the markets, or in which direction the markets want to push this. Because for now, if I would say we're going to go up or we're going to go down, for myself, it would just be more gambling than actually knowing where it's going to be heading next. So therefore, I'm mainly sitting this one out. All I can say is that the daily fractal is currently still bullish. The weekly fractal is still bullish. So there is still potential to push up higher. But at the same time, every single time we see an upside push, it's being countered with a lot of downside rejection. So therefore, I'm sitting this one out on the dollar and euro USD. And let's dive into GBPUSD, because on GU, we saw a very strong push up higher as well, which took place after liquidating the low of this bearish candle over here. So therefore, if we just delete everything real quick and we look at the current price action, you can kind of still see though that we have just retraced into this buy before the sell over here, and that is currently causing the overall rejection down. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, we've come back up higher in towards exactly this 4-hour imbalance over here, with this liquidity high over here, which again is the beginning of the overall descending trend line. So again, you see that these trend lines act perfectly as liquidity. We take out kind of like the start of this overall descending trend line, and then from there you start seeing some rejection. For GU, I would love to see some downside continuation. Again, after that, we've liquidated all of these highs. But again, I'll be waiting for kind of like an order flow to start to form. I would prefer to see this sell off all the way back down. But I'm going to kind of like wait for this low to break again, and then I'll get in on the over momentum if that does start to form. So that's what I have for GU. Going into AUDUSD. Again, these moves are always a little bit complicated on the lower time frame, but what we can see here on AU is that we've retraced exactly back up higher in towards the daily imbalance, which is positioned over here. And where did we reverse from? Again, we reversed from an overall swing low, which was positioned over here. So after taking out that swing low, what do we wait for? We wait for the 4-hour change of character. Let's say you put your buy stop over there with the stop loss underneath the low. That would have been a very easy 1 to 2 risk to reward overall. I'm not sure what your spreads would have done. But then again, it is, again, good to see that the overall idea of the setup does play out, where we do grab the overall liquidity low and then see the reversal after that. So this was a nice setup to see play out. Overall, we're currently back inside daily supply. So from here, you would preferably want to see another downside push. And that is for now what I'll be monitoring. To see how price develops inside of here. If the market inside of here, because AUDUSD is actually one of the cleaner pairs in the sense that you had this liquidity high. So right, this is like a little bump in the road. You take that out. This is now the 4-hour fractal low. If the 4-hour fractal low were to break again, then you would have a nice short opportunity back in towards the downside. So keep an eye on that potentially. I'm not really looking for longs in here as we're inside daily supply. Daily fractal is still bearish. So I'm looking for potential shorts, but the shorts need the confirmation of a break of that fractal low. Going into NZDUSD, we can see that NU has retraced back up higher. It missed out on a tap of that daily demand zone. So inside of here, I'll just be looking for another downside continuation push. Where that exactly is going to happen from, I'll need to wait for price to develop. I'm not going to go short from here, but I'm going to need to wait for price to give me a sign that it actually wants to head down lower. That could happen, for example, in the form of, let's say, an ascending channel. Could happen in the form of, let's say, another push up and then eventually a break in towards the downside. Maybe it starts to break down and then we can get in on some momentum to trade it back down towards this low. That is something that I'm going to have to be waiting for throughout today's London session into New York. Going into USD Swiss, USD Yen, USD CAD and Gold. USD Swiss push down lower again after sweeping these highs over here. A lot of people getting manipulated. A lot of traders that I know, they were looking for a short from here as they saw this obviously as a strong buy before the sell, this as the liquidation of that overall high, and then they wanted to go short in towards downside. Now again, you can see how this kind of like played out. If you would have put your stop loss above the highs targeting the new lower low, you would have probably been stopped out, and then the real reversal in towards the downside occurred. So again, this is the main reason why I really don't like trading like these news events, and why I mainly also advised on Friday to pretty much just stay out of the markets, as this kind of like liquidation candlesticks just occur. For now, USD Swiss for me is still very consolidative and not a pair that I'm really looking to trade. Same goes for USD Yen. USD Yen, again, just did what? It liquidated the high of the range. You can see I still have the dotted lines on from last week, where we liquidated the high of the range, and now we're just back inside of the range, inside of this summer price action. So also not a pair that I'm looking to trade at the moment. I know it may sound very boring, guys, but after such a big candlestick, I'm really just waiting for the pairs to redevelop before they provide me with new opportunities. USDCAD sold in towards the downside from where? From the overall daily area of supply that we had marked out. This is now retraced back down. This is one of the more cleaner pairs in the sense that overall retracement was bound to happen, I guess. For now, we've retraced back down in towards its daily imbalance. Going to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that we have in some way taken out this liquidity low over here. So we've liquidated that. Here we have the 4-hour break of structure. Overall, we have retraced now into the 0.5 fib. So somewhere in here, we could potentially look for upside continuations again. I would prefer to see another breakdown for a fractal high, maybe some kind of like descending price action, and then look for some longs potentially again in towards the upside. And then, of course, we have gold. Now, gold flew in towards the highs on those lower interest rate expectations. As where do people move their money into, for example, gold, Bitcoin stocks to get higher returns on their capital. That's caused gold to push up higher. And overall for gold, I'm looking for the next big push in towards the highs. Obviously, we identified the overall descending wedge perfectly in towards this area of demand. Imagine just going long from there. But then again, the reaccumulation phase happened in towards that demand zone, and then as we expected, we saw the further upside. So now I'm just looking for further longs on gold, definitely back up higher in towards around 3,400. So I'll be looking to capitalize on the overall momentum on gold. Keep an eye on the 1-hour time frame. See if you identify any potential trade patterns. At the moment, the 1-hour fractal high internally is this over here. Maybe if we start breaking this retracement and then another high break, you could get in on the overall momentum and see gold push up higher in towards 3,400. So that's what I have my eyes open for today. Thanks for watching and speak soon.